Welcome to Power BI for Beginners Interactive Dashboards Fundamentals. In this video, I will be following a guided project from Coursera and building interactive dashboard in Power BI step by step. If you are a beginner and you want to jump straight into doing rather than just watching theory, this video is for you. We will start by importing data, identifying key metrics, choosing the right visuals, and then improving them with formatting and interactivity. I am also a learner, so there might be small mistakes along the way, but that's part of the process and we will learn by fixing them together. By the end of this 2 hour session, we will have covered 3 mini projects, seen a complete dashboard builds, and you can follow along using the data linked in the description. If you don't have Power BI installed yet, just download it and let's get started. Here are the visuals from the complete project in the Power BI.
Hello everyone and welcome to Power BI for Beginners 50,000 techniques of failure with the different. I will click on it. By the separation of full list of data. For now my data is stored in an Excel workbook, so I click on Excel and click on Connect. Now I will navigate to where I downloaded my dataset that I can import from. If I click on More, View. Currently we don't have any data yet. Luckily it's a blank report to open Power BI homepage. This is Power BI's main page. On the left hand side here I can see that I am currently in the report view. Currently we don't have any data yet. Luckily it's very easy to get data in. Right here, we can add data into our report by clicking on Get Data. This will give me a drop-down list of all available data sources that I can import from. If I click on More, I can see the full list of data. For now, my data is stored in an Excel workbook, so I click on Excel and click on Connect. Now I will navigate to where I downloaded my dataset. For me, it's stored here. You can find it available under the resources of this course. I will click on it and hit the open button. Here I can see my Excel workbook name and I can see two different options where I can choose which data I want to load. When I click here on this box, I choose the employee table. When I decide which data to pull, I need to take a good look at it from here to make sure that Power BI was successfully able to import my data. I can notice this by the separation of colors between the first row and the second row. The first row would be the header row or the columns. It has a different background and it is bolded. This way I can know for sure that Power BI was able to parse my data correctly. Now I can either transform data before loading it or load it as it is. For now, we'll just bring it as it is. Now that we imported the data, we are in the report view again. We need to take a good look at the data. So I'll navigate here to the left to the table view and I will click on it. Right here, I can see all of my data. On the right hand side, I can see all the tables that I imported. If I click on this drop down, I can see all the columns. Here we can navigate the data as if we are navigating it through Excel. As a data analyst, one of my most important steps in building our dashboard is looking at the data and digesting it well to think of what we need to visualize to answer the business questions. Now let's take a look at the data. Our client is the HR director of Techmana, so I bet they would be interested in the distribution of employees across countries and departments to see which departments and countries require. requires the most labor force to see if it's justifiable. Okay, so we could assume that they need to visualize distribution to see if there is workforce. And same goes for across country. As we can see here, we have all Middle Eastern countries there to see across department, which is how we usually come up with financial metrics to visualize department or country or department. That's it. This will be the data from Excel workbook. Hello and welcome back to task 2 in Power BI for beginners. Went over the necessary and formatted. I can see the visualizations tab. Here I can see that there's a lot of visualizations. It can get a bit overwhelming with this huge number of visuals. So the purpose of this course will be to tell us which visual to choose, when and why. So now we need to visualize the distribution of employees across departments. So we'll go ahead and choose a clustered bar chart. When I click on it, there's here a filler that pops up. That doesn't have any data in it. I need to put the data. The reason I chose this bar chart is because I find it the most familiar chart and the easiest to use when you want to compare various numbers. And we'll show you a comparison with other types of charts later during this course. But for now, we need to visualize this. In order to build it, I will start by clicking on it and putting it wherever I want. Let's say here in the center of the page. I will also go here to the right under data and drag the department column under the y-axis. And I want to visualize the distribution of employees across departments. So I will take here the employee number and drag it here in the x-axis. As you can see, our visualization started to take shape. Let's click here and expand it a little bit so we can see it. All. I notice here under the x-axis that it says sum of number, which means that the calculation method here is to sum up the employee IDs. Of course, I don't want to do this. I want a count of employees. In order to change this, I will click on this arrow here and choose count. This will show me a count of employees now per department. Now that we completed our first visual, you can see that the departments are sorted by descending sides, which makes it easier to compare and extract insights. Now, this visual needs some formatting and some designing, such as changing the colors, making the words larger, and the labels smaller, and many other changes. So we need to go here to the second tab, which is Format Your Visual, the Formatting tab. So first of all, I would like to see how to change the colors. So I will click here under bars, and I will navigate to colors. I will click on it, and here I will put the colors to this color, this pinkish color, because this color represents the brand colors of our company. I would also like to see the numbers of employees on every bar to make it easier to compare. So I will go here under data label and turn it on. This will directly show me the number of employees per department. This is actually the first visualization fundamental that you will cover, which is making the data more visible. The goal of data visualization is not only to draw some shapes and compare, but it's also to give more information about the data. This way, when the stakeholder will look at the largest department and the smallest department, they will be able to quantify how large and how small the department is. Now it's important to put a descriptive title, and the current title is Count of No by Department, which doesn't really give a clear message of what we are seeing. So let's change this. I will go ahead and click on General and go to Title, and I will double click on this to edit, and will write Number of Employees by Department. This one looks clearer. It gives a clear message of what this visualization is showing. Now let's remove the unnecessary stuff, such as here the title on the x-axis and on the y-axis, since it's redundant, because Right here from the title, I can know that this is the count of employees per department, so this is not necessary and this is not necessary. I will go ahead to visuals again, and I will go on the y-axis and turn off here the title. Great. Now let's do the same for the x-axis. I will click on it, and I will also turn off the title. By the way, I can remove the whole x-axis because since I have the labels here, it's not necessary to have them down below. So I will click on the x-axis and also turn off the values. Here we are covering our second and very important. Since I have the labels here, it's not necessary to have them down below. So I will click on the x-axis and also turn off the values. Here we are covering our second and very important concept in data visualization, which is removing clutter. Anything that is available on the chart but doesn't convey any useful information is clutter. That is preventing the customer from looking properly at the data and just needs to go. Finally, we notice that the titles aren't properly appearing, so I can either resize the chart like this or change the font size. Here you need to always remember that real estate on the report page is premium, and no chart should be as big, should be bigger than what it needs. So every chart should be as big as it needs so the reader can see the labels correctly, they can see the titles correctly, etc. So since this chart is already big enough and the labels are clear, we'll just go ahead and change the font size on the y-axis. So under here formatting, I will click on y-axis and navigate here to maximum width. Currently it's set at 25%. Let's drag this here and see the changes. Well, if I put it at 50%, it's clear now that I can see all the department titles. All the department names appear properly. Now our HR or manager, whenever they look at this chart, they can clearly see the distribution of employees across different departments. And that would be it for our second task. We implemented our first visual and formatted it properly to be able to see the data clearly and compare the department size by employees without any clutter. You should always remember three important concepts covered, which are: one, showing details is important to compare chart elements; two, always remove the clutter to make the chart more readable; and three, real estate on the dashboard is premium, and your charts should never be bigger than the ones that you draw. And I will click on this chart and drag it right here. Chart. Now we need to visualize the distribution of employees across centers and across gender. So we previously chose a stacked bar chart to look at the distribution of employees across 20 departments. Now let's copy this chart and paste it by clicking on it and clicking on Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And let's move the one that you pasted a little bit here to the left. And now I'll change this to use a donut chart, for example. So when I click on a donut chart, the data will stay the same. All of the formatting, most of the formatting will stay the same, but in just a different So here we can see that nothing is clear. I can see which department has how many employees that clearly, especially when it comes here to small departments. Let's use a pie chart, and it's the same problem. It's not clear. Uh, the size of the department isn't clear. So, for example, my eye can't easily compare the size here of the orange one with the purple one or with the blue one. I can see which one is bigger unless I hover over it. And this is why we chose a bar chart over these kind of charts, because bar charts are better at comparing many categories, more than 5, and pie charts and donut charts are good at comparing, but it's just for a small number of categories. For example, gender, just 2 categories. We can clearly use a pie chart or a donut chart. So now let's go ahead and delete this by clicking on the 3 dots here and remove. Now, we want to visualize employees by center. We know by analysis that we only have around 5 centers, so we'll choose a donut chart. I will click here on the donut chart, and I can see here a filler already present. I will position it right here. Okay, looks good. And I will move this chart next to it. Yeah, it looks better now. So I need to put data in it, so I click on it. In the legend, I will put the center because I want to see distribution by center. So I will click on it, drag it, and drop it here. And under values, I will put also this number, so the employee number. So I will also drag it and drop it here. As we said earlier, this is sum of number. It's very important to do a right click here and click on count to change the calculation method. So why did we use a donut chart over a pie chart? Some data analysts use them interchangeably, but I like to use the donut chart because it gives you some place in the middle here to put some data like a total count or an image or something. So now this donut chart is positioned well. It has my data in it. Let's go ahead and format it properly, right? And here looking at the labels, I can see that these percentages aren't very useful. I just care about the numbers. So let's remove the clutter by going to data labels and clicking on this drop down. And here on the label contents, I will click on this and change data value percentage of total to category and data value. This now shows I will click on this. So let's remove the clutter by going to data labels and clicking on this drop down. And here on the label contents, I will click on this and change data value percentage of total to category and data value. This now shows me the center next to it the number, making my legend absolute. So I don't need the legend anymore. So I can close this and go ahead on, next to legend and turn it off. And here we will be exercising. Sizing our remove the clutter concept again by removing unnecessary things that make it harder for the eye to get only the information that it needs. Now let's change the title to make it a little bit more descriptive. So I will go ahead here under general title, double click on it and write employees by center, for example. So employees by center. So that's it. I think now our visual is complete. It conveys all the necessary information, which is the center name and the number of employees, and has a proper title and no clutter around the edge, which is the center name is by center. So that's it. I think now our visual is complete. It conveys, for example, so employee under general title. Let's change the title to make it a little bit more descriptive. So I will go ahead here under general title. Double click on it and write employees by center, for example. So employees by center. So that's it. I think now our visual is complete. It conveys all the necessary information, which is the center name and the number of employees, and has a proper title and no clutter around the edges. Now we need one to show us the distribution by gender. So I will go ahead and do my copy paste trick. I will click on this chart, click on Control C and Control V, and I will click on this chart and drag it right here. Let's make this like this. Okay, now let's make this chart a little bit bigger so it aligns with them. I will now click on my second chart, and here I will remove the data that we put in, and I want to see distribution by gender, so I will click here on gender, drag it and drop it here, and I will also now do another thing. Instead of using the employee number, I'll use gender to show you how the data will look like. So now we can see the distribution between male and female. Directly gave me the old formatting that I put, which is removing the legend and having the data label and the number. But I don't want to see the number here. It's better, I think, to see the percentage to have a clear ratio. So I will go ahead to format your visual, click on data labels, and here I will click on it and put category and percent of total, which will show me that we have 65 for employees are male and around 35 of the employees are female. Now we just need to go ahead and change the title. So I will click on general, go to title, and right here employees by gender. This is now a descriptive title So now looking here at the labels again, I can see that we have some numbers that aren't that useful. So when I was briefing previously, I said that we have 35% female employees. I didn't say 34.8 and I didn't say 65.17. So these decimal numbers aren't that useful for decision making. Let's just go ahead and drop them. In order to do this, I will go to visual again, and under data labels, I will expand the values tab. I will scroll down a little bit and find here percentage decimal places. It's currently auto. Let's set it to 0, and now it's automatically rounded to 35 and 65. This is way better. This will make it easier for anyone to remember the numbers and will make it more visually appealing. Now it would be also nice to change the colors here to make the female part in pink and keep the male part in blue. This idea goes back to a very important concept in data visualization, which is making it easier for the eye to compare and remember. So here under slices, I click on it. I can see the colors for every category. I will click on the female category and I will choose this pink color. And here under male, I will choose that lighter blue color. Okay, and now it looks way better. It's more coherent with the bar chart that we built earlier. It has similar color. I will click on the female category. It's making it easier for the eye to compare and remember. So here under slices, I click on it. I can see the colors for every category. I will click on the female category. It's making it easier for the eye to compare and remember. So here under slices, I click on it. I can see the colors for every category. I will click on concept in data visualization, which is making it easier for the eye to compare and remember. So here under slices, I click on it. I can see the colors for every category. I will click on the female category. And I will choose this pink color. And here under male, I will choose that lighter blue color. Okay, and now it looks way better. It's more coherent with the bar chart that we built earlier. It has similar colors. The pink is the same, and the blue is a little bit lighter rather than the navy blue that was a bit harsh on this chart. And it didn't category. I will click on the female category, and I will choose this pink color. And here under mail I will choose that lighter blue color. Okay, and now it looks way better. It's more coherent with the bar chart that we built earlier. It has similar colors. The pink is the same, and the blue is a little bit lighter rather than the navy blue that was a bit harsh on this chart, and it didn't create a well balance between the two colors of the slices. And that's it for the first instructional tasks, where we imported the data and started visualizing our KPIs while emphasizing on the important concepts and factors to keep in mind while choosing your charts during the dashboard development phase. We also discussed the importance of making it easier to the eye by differentiating using colors and by removing extra unneeded information. Thank you for following along, and see you in the next optional yet very important practice task. Hello and welcome to our first practice activity. By the end of this practice activity, you'll be able to review skills you learned by importing the data, coming up with important KPIs, and visualizing those KPIs, following the dashboard fundamentals and best practices we covered. Practicing these skills is important because it reinforces the concepts that we covered previously by giving you the time to remember them and implement them yourself. You can always go back to the previous tasks to review those concepts while designing your report. Before we go over the instructions, I want you to know that this task is completely optional, but completing it will sharpen your skills and prepare you even further for the job market of data analytics. For this activity, you'll be assisting Mr. Turner, the principal over at the Dolphin High School. Mr. Turner is organizing an activities day for his students and would like to further understand his students' distribution and preferences to be able to design activities that are properly tailored for their hobbies, gender, and classes. Mr. Turner hands you out an Excel sheet named students.excel containing the data of these students. You need to import the data, look at it, and extract some distribution KPIs before visualizing them, which will help him understand his student better. Keep in mind that distribution across a small number of categories could be done using a donut chart, but for large categories, it's better to have them in a clustered bar chart. Now, let's take a pause for 5 to 10 minutes and try to complete this task. Alright, welcome back. I hope it was a lovely exercise. Let's go over how to complete it together. The first, it's better to have them in a clustered bar. Alright, welcome back to import our data to Power. Open it. Now here's my Excel workbook name. So let's go ahead and load the data as it is. Now let's take a look at the data. So we go here on the left to the table view. We can see that we have student ID, student's first name and last name, as well as the gender, the grade, which is the class. So it's grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. So three grades, and a bunch of hobbies. I think we have more than 5 hobbies, probably more than 10 too. We have 120 students with various student IDs. From this, we see three clear KPIs that could be visualized, which is students distribution by hobby, by gender, and by class. So let's go back to our report view by clicking here on this icon. And let's first start by drawing the distribution by hobby. So I click here on the clustered bar chart because I have so many hobbies, and I will expand this to see my different data feeds. And under the y-axis, I will drag and drop the hobby. And under the x-axis, I will put the student ID. Here I can see that the student IDs are summed up. I don't want to do this. I want a distinct count or a count. So I'll go ahead and click on count. And this is my chart. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can see what's happening. Let's place it here in the middle. And that's it. We have our chart that took shape. We want to, of course, format it to make it more visual, following the best practices that we discussed in the previous tasks. So we'll click on it. We'll go to our favorite brush icon. So the first thing I would like to do is to make the data more visible. So let's add some labels here. Let's see the numbers. So I'll go under data labels and toggle it to on. And now I can see clearly the number next to each hobby. So 16 people like swimming, 15 like art and painting, etc. We have the numbers here. Let's go ahead now and change this blue color to a warmer color to make it easier for the eye to look at the chart. So I'll go ahead and click on bars and change the color here to this. And now I can notice that my title isn't very clear, count of student ID by hobby. So let's go ahead and change this title. I'll go to general, go to title, and write distribution of students by hobby. Since I have the labels here and this title, I think the x-axis isn't really required anymore, and also the y-axis title isn't really necessary. So I'll go here under visual, and under the x-axis, I will remove the values, and I will also remove the title. And under the y-axis, I will remove the title. Now I've reduced the clutter. I removed any unnecessary things from my chart, making it easier for the eye to grasp what's needed and go ahead and process the information that is there. So let's go ahead and draw our second visual, where we need to see the distribution by grades or by classes. And since we have only 3 classes, a pie chart or a donut chart looks ideal for this. So I'll go ahead and click on it. And under legend, I will drag and drop here the grade. So I can see here 10, 11, and 12. Under the values, I need to see the student ID. So I will put it here. And as we can see here, Power BI automatically summed up the student's ID. I just want to account for them. And that's it. Now I can see here, so 29 students are in the grade 12. It's not very nice. It's not very clear. Let's go ahead and put here the number and the grade. So I will go to format my visual. I will go to the detail labels. And label contents here would be category and data value. Now I can clearly see that I have 29 students in the 12th grade, 48 in the 11th grade. My legend here makes no sense anymore to have it. So I will toggle it off by clicking here. Let's now resize this chart, put it a little bit down here. Now let's also go ahead and fix this title. So I'll go to format your visual, and under general, I'll change the title to make it more descriptive. So I will write here distribution by grade. Let's copy this donut chart and paste it here in order to do the gender distribution. So I will remove my data and I will click on the sex, which is the gender. And I will also put it here under the values. So I can see that I have 56 female and 64 male. So now let's compare this more explicitly by changing these numbers to percentages. So I'll go ahead and click on format your visual and under data labels, and I will choose category and percentage of total. So I can see here that 46% are female, 53 are male. Let's remove those decimal points and round it a little bit up to, because they are not really necessary. Like this 1% difference won't sway any decision. So I will click on values, scroll down to percentage decimal places and put 0. Let's enhance this a little bit more. Let's take it to the next level and make it easier to the eye to remember and compare by changing the colors of these slices to make the females in pink and the male in blue. So I'll go here to format my visual. Under slices, I will pick the male. And make it blue, and the female, I'll change it to this pink color. And that will be it for our practice task. So now that you have a better handle of how to import data and come up with KPIs, and how to visualize those KPIs according to dashboard design fundamentals, let's continue our project on building our HR analytics dashboard. So see you on the next task. Welcome back to our exciting Power BI guided project, Power BI for Beginners Interactive Dashboard Fundamentals. During the first half of this project, we went over important dashboard fundamentals. We discussed how to pick the appropriate chart and how to format it correctly to keep the data clear, visible, easier for the eye to capture, and clear from any clutter. During this task, we're going to add more visuals, including line charts and KPI cards, which are two of the most important visuals used for any dashboard. Back to the report view. One of the important metrics that you identified was employee growth over time. In order to see this, we need to visualize the count of employees by start date, which will show us the evolution of the new hires over time, which is what we call time series. So first, let's start by closing these filters to make our work page a little bit bigger. For time series, we can use two types of chart, either a line chart or an area chart. The only difference between the line chart and the area chart is that area charts are filled line charts, meaning that they have a colored area under the line. So we'll go ahead and choose a line chart where we will put it here as a placeholder. Let's put it right here in the corner and expand it all the way until it hits our stacked bar chart. And now we will drag and drop the start right here in the corner and expand it all the way until it hits our stacked bar chart. And now we will drag and put it area under the line. So we'll go ahead and choose a line chart where we will put it here as a placeholder. Let's put it right here in the corner and expand it all the way until it hits our stacked bar chart. And now we will drag and drop the start date here under the x-axis, and under the y-axis, I will put the employee number. As discussed previously, we need to make sure that the calculation method here is count, because we are counting the number of employees that started on a certain date. Now I'll go ahead and change the title to make it more descriptive. So I will go to my brush, to our favorite brush, to format your visual, and under general, I will go to title, and I will write new employees by date. Now this is a little bit clearer. Now to make it more clear, I will go ahead and add some labels on these points. So I will go under visual and scroll down to data labels and turn this on. Now that data labels are on, this y-axis isn't that important. anymore. So I will go ahead and click on the y-axis, and I will go ahead and add some labels on these points. So I will go under visual and scroll down to data labels and turn this on. Now that data labels are on, this y-axis isn't that important anymore. So I will go ahead and click on the y-axis and turn it off. See here, if I turn off the y-axis, the title is still visible. So I will also go ahead and turn off the title. So now we can clearly see the number of new employees by date. Since here I can see that it's a yearly distribution, let's go ahead and rechange the title to make it number of employees by year. And the reason I do this is that everything that you put on your report should be accurate, because this is the information that the stakeholders will see. And when you tell them that this is by year, they will now be able to clearly see that this is a distribution between 2016 and 2020. And they can see here that there's a growth, a spike in 2019 before it stabilizes back in 2020. Now we only need to add three important pieces of information, which are the total headcount, the average yearly salary, and the average job rate. So first, let's get out of this editing by clicking anywhere on the report. And now I'm back here to see all the visualizations. And now to visualize single numbers, the best visual to choose will be cards. Cards are effective at displaying one number and are frequently used in all dashboards. So I will go ahead and click here on this card. I will drag it and put it on top of my line chart. Let's let it have also the same width. And in order to show the total number of employees, I will just click here on next to number. This is showing me the sum of employees, so always remember to click here and put it count. And this is our card that is populated. Let's expand it a little bit to see the title. And we can see here that the title is count of no, which doesn't really reflect the information presented here. And one very important tool in dashboard making, as we said earlier, is that every piece of information that you see should be accurate and descriptive. So I will click on this arrow here and choose rename field, or I can double click here and write number of employees. And I will hit enter, and I can see here that the field is renamed to number of employees. Now let's navigate to the format tab to design it. I will go ahead and change the background color of this card. So I will click on general and go to effects. So I will go ahead and change the color to blue to match with the card below. So I will click on general and go to effects. So I will go ahead and change the color to blue to match with the card. bit below, or I can probably make it pink to match with the stacked bar chart. I still need to change the color of the text here and of the label here, so I will go to visual, and under callout value I will change here the color to white, so it's clearer, and under category label I will also change the color here to white, and now it's way clearer with this pink background. Now we want to implement a new card to show average salary. So instead of creating a new one, I will just copy this one and paste it using Ctrl C and Ctrl V. I will drag it a little bit up here. Okay, and now I will click on it and go to this tab to change the data. And instead of number of employees, I want to see the average salary paid. So I will click here on the X to remove it. I will find this annual salary column. I will click on it. And here under the calculation method, I don't want to see the sum. I want to see the average. And this is better. Now we can see that the average annual salary is 24. 25K. Let's also change the color of this. Let's make it a little bit green because now we're talking about money. So I will go ahead here, go to effects, and change the color to a little bit greener color. So I will go here to more colors. That looks good. Okay, now we still need to see the average employee rating. So I will click on this, copy it, paste it, and place it here. I will change this field and put instead of it the job rate. And this is the sum of job rate. I would like to see the average, so I go ahead and choose average. And finally, I will also change the color to make it a little bit blue to match also our theme of pink and blue. Now finally, I think it would be here the decimal points to see just one number after the decimal. So I will click on it and go under format your visual, and under the callout value I can find here a value for the decimal places, and I will put 1, and now I can see just one value after the decimal, which is a bit easier to remember and easy. easier to resonate with. And that would be it. And that's how we concluded task number 4 in our guided project, where we went over two important visuals, which are KPI cards to visualize a single number and the line chart to visualize trends over time. In the next task, we're going to add slicers and do some final touches on our report. Welcome back to our last instructional task in our guided project. Previously, we had a deep dive into visuals to tell a better story with our data and show additional metrics. During this task, we will learn how to make our dashboard even more dynamic by adding slicers and implementing some final professional formatting. One very important element in any dashboard is to make it interactive. You take away reading the dashboard experience from simply looking at numbers and make it into a fully immersive experience where you can click on it, filter it, and understand it even more. So in order now to give the ability for our HR director to interact with our dashboard, we're going to add filters. In Power BI, filters are called slicers. So I'll go ahead under visualizations. And locate the slicer. I will click on it. And I will see it here as a placeholder. Slicers. So I'll go ahead under visualizations and locate the slicer. I will click on it. And I will see it here as a placeholder. I would like my HR director to be able to filter via country. So in order to do this, I will go ahead under data and click on country. Now I can see the country names here under my slicer. Now, whenever I click on any country, all the charts in my report will adjust to the filtered data according to this country. This highlights the power of dynamic filtering in Power BI, where all the charts are instant. Filtered when I choose any country I want. So when I click on Lebanon here, for example, I can see the average salary, the distribution by gender, by department, and even the growth over time. Whenever I want to remove this, I can either click back on Lebanon, or I can click here on the eraser icon to clear my selections. Now I would like to change the look of my slicer to be like buttons and put them here horizontally on the top. So I will go to my favorite brush, the formatting tab, and I will click on the slicer settings, and I will change the style here from a vertical list to tile. Now we can see different buttons. Let's go ahead. And click here to make them horizontally and move it a little bit here to the center. Now, since we already have a slicer for the country, let's go deeper into every country and enable filtering by center. I will go ahead and choose the slicer again. And now instead of clicking on country, I will click on center. I will position my filter here in the top right corner, and I will change its size so it fits. Since clearly this doesn't look well, I will change also the layout. So I will go under Format Your Visual, under Slicer Setting, and choose the style to be a drop-down. Now we can click on the drop-down and choose any center that we want. And let's talk about a very important element of every dashboard, which is a descriptive title. The titles enable the stakeholders to have an overall idea of what this dashboard is about. So I will go ahead and insert a title. In order to do this, I will click on the Insert tab, and I will choose a text box. I can either choose a button, a shape, an image. For now, I choose a text box and put my title in it. And here we can see our text box. I will write in it Employees Report. I'll go ahead and make this larger by doing a select all and changing the font size, let's say here to 24. 24 looks good. Let's resize this. So the whole of the title would appear and change its position a little bit here to the right. Also, when designing a dashboard for a client, it's highly advisable to add the client logo in it. Logos are usually placed on the corner of the report. So I will go ahead and tab the stakeholders to have an overall idea of what this dashboard is about. So I will go ahead and insert a title. In order to do this, I will click on the Insert tab, and I will choose a text box. I can either choose a button, a shape, an image. For now, I choose a text box and put my title in. And here we can see our text box. I will write in it Employees Report. I'll go ahead and make this larger by doing a select all and changing the font size, let's say here to 24. 24 looks good. Let's resize this. So the all of the title would appear and change its position a little bit here to the right. Also, when designing a dashboard for a client, it's highly advisable to add the client logo in it. Logos are usually placed on the corner of the report. So I will go ahead and move this title a little bit down by clicking on it and dragging it here. And in order to insert my logo, I will click again on Insert, and now I will choose an image. I will navigate here to where I downloaded my images. These images are also present under the project resources. I will click on the logo, and I will resize it so it properly fits here on the top left-hand corner. Now let's circle back to the introduction, where we mentioned that humans remember 80% of what they see. So let's add some. Images here on the also present under the and now I will choose an image, clicking on it and dragging it here. And in order to insert my logo, I will click again on Insert, and now I will choose an image. I will navigate here to where I downloaded my images. I will navigate here to where I so let's add this icon again and get this image and put it within this employees by center donut chart. And let's click again and get this image of male and female and also resize it and put it here within this donut chart that shows distribution by gender. And that would be it. Now we finalized the creation of our dashboard. We added some important style elements, which is logo, images, and the title, and we also added filtering. And this is my final report. In order to save it, I will click here on the save icon on the top left-hand corner. Welcome back to our exciting Power BI guided. Welcome back to our last save icon on the top left hand corner. And I can name this file whatever I want. I will name it employee report and hit the save button. And here's a lab for the instructional tasks. During this project, we first imported the data and analyzed it to extract some insights that should be visualized. And then we implemented our dashboard using clustered bar chart, donut charts, KPI cards, and align chart, while highlighting important dashboard fundamentals, such as the importance of reducing clutter and making our data more visible by showing labels when possible. We also learned that real estate on a dashboard is premium, so no chart should be bigger than it needs. We also went over the importance of differentiating the different elements by color to make it easier for the eye to grasp all the visuals. And we finally discovered how to make reading our dashboard an experience by adding slicers, a proper title, and images. Please do not forget to complete the quiz at the end of the project to receive your certificate, and also fill out the survey. Visible by showing labels. Important employee. I will click here on. We added some important distribution by gender. And that will be it. Now we finalized the creation of our dashboard. We added some important style elements, which is logo, images, and the title, and we also added filtering. And this is my final report. In order to save it, I will click here on the save icon on the top left-hand corner, and I can name this file whatever I want. I will name it employee report and hit the save button. And here's a lab for the instructional tab. Tasks by showing the different elements. Please do not forget. Hello and welcome back. I'm glad you made it this far. In the previous task, we learned how to make our report more interactive by introducing slicers and how to make it more comprehensive and visually appealing by adding a title and images. We're going to give you a challenge task to test your knowledge and make sure you are ready to handle real-life projects, and that you can build Power BI dashboards following important fundamentals and design principles to help your clients make sense of their data following best practices. I first need you to know that this is an optional task and ungraded. The goal is for you to apply your knowledge and skills learned within this guided project and to boost your confidence. Let's see if you can handle this on your own. In this task, you're a data analyst for Pizza Hut. The inventory department at Pizza Hut would like to analyze the sales of their data and distribution by toppings, base sauce, and by branch, and the sales trend over time. They would like to have a deeper understanding of this data to plan their inventory accordingly. How much to stock toppings, base sauce, and cheese under every branch for every month. Having this data would help them save money on inventory and on expired items, so your role is very crucial here. The data is available under a file called pizza.excel. Do not forget to follow important design principles such as making it clearer for the eye, getting as much information of the data as possible, removing unnecessary clutter, and utilizing every inch of the report. Do not forget to add proper titles and slicers while making sure you choose the appropriate chart type for every KPI. And here are some pro tips to help you with your challenge. Now, pause the video, take a deep breath, and start working on Pizza Hut's dashboard to help them plan better and make fantastic pizzas. Well, that was fun. Let's try to do it together. We first need to import our data. So we'll go ahead here and click on import data from Excel. And It will navigate to the folder where we have our pizza sales data and click on it and hit the open button. Now we'll pick our table by clicking on this checkbox and we'll hit the load button. Now let's go under table view to take an Excel look at our data. We can see that this is a sales data. If I click here, I can see the full list of the sauces. We also have the sales date and the price for every pizza. From this data, we can see a few important distributions, such as distribution by pizza flavor, by crust type, and by base sauce. We could also draw a sales growth by time line chart, and it would be also good to have a few cards to show us the total number of pizzas sold or the total income made from selling pizzas. And it would be also nice to have a slicer to filter this data by branch too. So let's go to the report view to start working on our report. So we'll start with our first distribution. Since we have 10 different flavors, we'll go ahead and choose a clustered bar chart. Under the y-axis, I will put here my pizza flavor, and under the x-axis, I will put the sale ID. Since it had summed up the sales ID, I want to make it count, so we'll click here and click on count. Let's expand this a little bit. I'll put it here in the middle. Since the title isn't very descriptive, I'll go ahead and change the title first. So I'll go to Format Your Visual, and under General, I click on Title, and write number of pizzas by flavor. Let's go ahead now and add the labels to make our data clearer and to get more information out of this chart. So I'll go under Data Labels and turn it on. Now here the x-axis isn't necessary anymore, so I'll go under x-axis and turn off the values and the title. And for the y-axis, I think we can remove the title now, so I'll go ahead and turn it off. We could change the color of these blue bars to a more pizza-like color, like yellow or maybe red. So under Visual, I'll go here under Bars, and we'll change here the color to this color. Now I can see all the names of the flavors except for the mushroom and olive. So in order to make this appealing, I will go under the y-axis, under the values. I will expand this to make it 40%. 41% seems reasonable. this appearing, I will go under the y-axis. Under the values, I will expand this.
Mhm.
To make it 40%, 41% seems reasonable. Now I can see all the names clearly. Now let's go ahead and draw our second distribution, which is distribution by base sauce. This will allow the Pizza Hut inventory team to know how much base sauce to store. So I click on the donut chart since I have only around 5 base sauce, and I will click here on base sauce. Under the values, I want to see the sale ID to see like the count of sale by base sauce. So I will change the calculation method here to count. And let's put it right here and expand it a little bit so we can see what's happening. I can see that the legend is taking too much space. We can remove it by adding the information of the legend to the labels. So I'll go here to format your visual, and under data labels, I can change here to show category and data value. Now my legend is absolute, so I'll turn it off. So now let's go ahead and also edit the title to make it more descriptive. Under general, we'll go to title and write distribution by base sauce. Now let's go ahead and look at the distribution by crust type to know how much cheese to store for the crust. I will also choose here a donut chart since I have only two categories, which is stuffed crust.
চার্জ আছে সুইচ অফ কর
or not stuffed, which is the normal one, I will click on cross type and click again here on cross type to put it under values so I can see the percentages. I will go to format your visual, go to the data labels, and see the category with the percent of total. Now I can see that 30% has stuffed crust and around 70% has normal crust. Let's get rid of those decimal numbers to be able to see the values or the labels clearer. So I click here and scroll a little bit down and change this to 0. We can also go ahead and remove the legend because it's not necessary now. So under visuals, I'll go to legend and turn it off. Let's change the location of this to put it here. Now let's change the title because it's not clear. At all what's happening. So we'll go to title and write distribution by crust type. And here it is. Now I can see the distribution clearly by crust type. We still have a few KPIs to visualize, which is 1, the total number of pizzas sold, 2, the total revenues from pizzas sold, and finally this time series. So for the time series, we'll go ahead and choose the line chart, and I will put in the x-axis sales ID to show the number of sales, and the y-axis the sales ID, and on the x-axis I will put the sales date. Let's go ahead and put it here, and we'll make it a little bit larger without overlapping with this clustered bar chart. I think it's better if we here remove the day. So now we have a monthly view, which is way clearer by with this clustered bar chart. I think it's better if we here remove the day. So now we have a monthly view, which is way clearer by clicking X here under the X-axis by removing the day. I can see here the sum of sale ID by year, which is not a clearly descriptive title. So I'll go ahead under format your visual to general and put sales growth over time. And now to make this chart more informative, it's better to add the labels. So under visual, I'll go ahead to data labels and turn them on. I can see here that the labels showed me the actual numbers in million. So here my x-axis. Isn't much needed anymore. And also the y-axis doesn't convey a lot of information since I can already see the dates here. So I'll remove and also the x-axis I will remove only the title because it doesn't give me a lot of information. This way I'll be reducing the clutter, making my visual way clearer. Now let's add my 2 cards to show. My 2 single number KPIs, which is first of all the sum of sales. So I'll go click here on price, and it's already formatted because it doesn't give me a lot of information. This way I'll be reducing the clutter, making my visual way clearer. Now let's add my 2 cards to show my 2 single number KPIs, which is first of all the sum of sales. So I'll go click here on price, and it's already formatted to sum. Let me put it right here, change it like this. And since it's saying sum of price, which isn't which doesn't tell me that this is the sum of revenue or the total revenue. So I'll rename it here to write total revenue. And it's better if I change this decimal number to only show one number. So I will go here to format your visual under callout value and choose one decimal number. It would be also nice to have a green background. For this, we will go under general, go to effects and more colors, and let's make this green one. Now let's change the color here from black to white to make it more appealing. So I'll go here under the callout value, and now the color here, general, callout value, and show. Better if I change this decimal number to only show one number. So I will go here to format your visual under callout value and choose one decimal number. It would be also nice to have a green background for this. We will go visual under callout value. And it's better if I change this decimal number to only show one number. So I will go here to format your visual under callout value and choose one decimal number. It would be also nice to have have a green background for this, we will go under general, go to effects, and more colors, and let's make this green one. Now let's change the color here from black to white to make it more appealing. So I'll go here under the callout value and change here the color to white. And now for the category label, also let's keep it in white. This way it's clearer. Now let's copy this and paste it and position it here. And we'll add to it the total number of pizza sold. So I will, under callout value, so I will go here to the data section. I will remove this and add here the sales ID. I don't want to sum the IDs, I just want to count them. So I will click on count. So maybe let's change this label to make it more descriptive. So I'll click here and write number of pizzas sold. Great. Now let's change the color to match maybe this yellow color. So I'll go here to format your visual. Under general effects, I will pick this. Now that you have completed our dashboard, we need to make it interactive. So let's go ahead and add our slicer. So I will click here. So I would like to filter by branch. So I click on branch name. Let's make them as tiles by going to format your visual. And under slicer settings, we pick the style to be tiles. And we'll make them here as a horizontal buttons. And let's now add the final title for our dashboard by going to insert and clicking here on text box and writing a title which is pizza sales report. Let's go ahead and change the size here to make it a little bit larger so it would be clearer. And that's it. Congratulations on completing. This guided project about Power BI for beginners, interactive dashboard fundamentals. In this project, we first imported the data and analyzed it to extract some insights that we then visualized and then implemented these visualizations using clustered bar charts, donut charts, KPI cards, and line charts, while highlighting important dashboard fundamentals, such as the importance of reducing clutter and making our data more visible by showing the labels when possible. We also learned that real estate is premium on the dashboard, so no chart should be bigger than it needs to. We also went over the importance of differentiating the different elements by color to make it more appealing for the eye and to make it easier for the eye to grasp all these visuals. And finally, we discovered how to make reading our dashboard an experience by adding slicers and proper title and images. Remember to continue testing your knowledge about the material covered in this project by completing the finally graded quiz. Please do not forget to fill out also the survey after this project. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and I hope you enjoyed this project. I'm Hussein Al and it has been a pleasure guiding you.